Hello and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech idea. Today we are taking a look at Tifa Lockhart, a 2-mana 1/2 with Trample and Landfall. And whenever a land you control enters, double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. This commander is a mono-green one-shot commander, simply by you having enough land drops to double her power to a huge amount and then kick a player out with commander damage. Due to the fact that she has Trample, you will most likely connect at least with some commander damage, and this is how we are going to approach the game. But due to the fact that we do get a bunch of additional land drops in this deck, I have also added a bunch of additional landfall synergy creatures, simply to have alternative win cons to her. Let's talk about our additional land drops. We play Azusa, Lost But Seeking, a 3-mana 1/2, and you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. We go for Dryad of the Elysian Grove, a 3-mana 2/4, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. A very strong creature in this deck is Augur of Autumn, a 3-mana 2/3, and you may look at the top card of your library anytime. Furthermore, you may play lands from the top of your library, which is really important as you will most likely run out of lands in your hand, and as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. This is also really achievable in this deck simply because Tifa will scale to a high power creature in the early game, Augur will give you 2 power, and just 1 more different creature will do the job. We play Traveling Chocobo, a 3-mana 3/2, and you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library, and extremely powerful in this deck is its replacement effect, because if a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. As we do play fetch lands in this mono-green deck, we play Ancient Green Warden, a 6-mana 5/7 with reach, and you may play lands from your graveyard. Furthermore, if a land entering the battlefield causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And last but not least, we also play Oracle of Muldaya, a 4-mana 2/2, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns. A slight downside is that you play with the top card of your library revealed, and you may play lands from the top of your library. Once we got that setup going, we want to use instant speed spells to power up Tifa to maximize the effectiveness of every landfall trigger, which is why we play Might of Old Crowser, a 1-mana instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you cast the spell during your main phase, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn instead. Afterwards we will play a land to get a landfall trigger and immediately have a 10 power Tifa. One of the best pump spells in this deck is Invigorate, a 3-mana instant, and if you control a forest, rather than pay the spell's mana cost, you may have an opponent gain 3 life. And then target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. We don't care about giving our opponents more lives simply because we will win with commander damage. We play Swell of Grove, a 2-mana instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. I think this card is pretty underrated simply because it does a lot in this deck, and due to the fact that the land comes into play untapped, you already have 1 mana available again for another protection spell if needed. We play Groundswell, a 1-mana instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It also has landfall, so if you had a land enter the battlefield under your control this turn, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn instead. Simply hold priority with Tifa's landfall trigger on the stack and then cast Groundswell to get the +4/+4. A card that can also do a lot of work is Mutagenic Growth, a 1 green Phyrexian instant, and target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Another card that can do a lot of work in the late game is Primal Bellow, a 1-mana instant, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each forest you control. Your opponents will pretty quickly realize what your game plan is, so we also play a bunch of protection spells, like Gaia's Gift, a 2-mana instant, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It gains reach, trample, hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. As I've said earlier, we also go wide in this deck with some other creatures, so we play Heroic Intervention, a 2-mana instant, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. We want to have Defend the Rider ready to cast, a 1 mana instant, choose 1. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Or create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this token settles mounts and cruise vehicles though its power were 2 greater. Another flexible spell is Collective Resistance, a 2 mana instant with Escalate for 1 green mana, and you can choose 1 or more, either destroy target artifact, target enchantment, or target creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. We go for Tamiyo's Safekeeping, a 1 mana instant, target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn and you gain 2 life. This is probably one of the few decks where we will actually pay a few into the X of Tifa's Stand, a 1 mana X green instant, and target creature you control gets +X and gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Let's talk about alternative win cons due to landfall. We play Greensleeves, Marrow Sorcerer, a 5 mana XX, and it has protection from planeswalkers and from wizards. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Furthermore, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a free green badger creature token. We go for Skewed Swarm to go really wide, a 3 mana 1/1, and whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green insect creature token, and if you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Skewed Swarm instead. We go for Mosspawn Hydra, a 3 mana 0/0 with trample, and this creature enters with a +1/+1 counter. Furthermore, whenever a land you control enters, double the number of +1/+1 counters on this creature. We go for Rampaging Baloths, a 6 mana 6/6 with trample, and whenever a land you control enters, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. An instant kill can be Cultivator Colossus, a 7 mana XX with trample, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It has an extremely powerful ETB trigger because when this creature enters, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, you draw a card and repeat this process. An OG landfall win con in mono green is the Avenger of Zendikar, a 7 mana 5/5, and when this creature enters, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control. And then, whenever a land you control enters, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant creature you control. You want to win more? You get it. You play Traverse the Outlands, a 5 mana sorcery, search a library for up to X basic land cards where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, and you put those cards onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. Already 3 to 4 additional land drops will do the trick to kick a player out, and it will create a huge mana advantage for your following turns. As you have seen, we also go really wide with other landfall creatures, so we also play Scale Up, a 1 green sorcery, and until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a green worm with base power and toughness 6/4. This is already great for Tifa herself, but also as alternative win con due to our other landfall creatures, because you can also overload it for 6 mana. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I will play in Tifa Lockhart. Let me know which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next. Make sure to check out my full deck list in the notes below, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.